Greetings and welcome back to Random Hearts.
And welcome to our long-awaited garden shed tour.
Yeah, this has been long awaited for us for sure. We started this project way back in
about 2018.
Yeah, it was a long time ago now. And honestly, we started working on plans for the shed way back, even further than that. When we started working on the yard itself, we knew this was going to be the location for our shed.
But when we got here, it had an old poplar tree that was dead and a wood pile that was infested with termites.
There were a bunch of weird fences back there. It almost was like it was part of the yard, but not part of the yard. And we knew that would be a good location for the shed because it was out of the way, but we didn't have the orientation yet or exactly what we wanted to do with it. And as things progressed,
it became a bigger and more convoluted project.
Very elaborate. We have a Taj Mahal of garden sheds. But yeah, that's what happens when you take 6, almost 7 years to work on something. So you built the shed in 2018, the deck in 2019. And we worked on the interior those 2 years, just the drywall, the flooring, the wood ceiling, that kind of stuff. And it was painted that year, those 2 years. But beyond that, we really didn't do anything.
No, we kind of hit a slowdown point where...
Yeah, about 2020.
Yeah, maybe it was COVID.
Yeah, it could have been. But we've kind of worked on this off and on and intermittently. And last year we really put the pedal to the metal and you started building all of the cabinetry for the inside. And we did share that video, so I'll link that up in the cards if you'd like to go watch that video. But we're going to start off with this tour. You're going to take everybody around on the outside, right?
Yep, we're just going to walk around the outside and talk about some little details here and there that we're proud of.
Yeah, and then I'll take you on a tour of the inside because that is where I shine. So you shine on the outside, I shine on the inside, and we make a great team. So let's get this tour started.
Okay, so we'll start this exterior shed tour on the west side of the shed. And on our west side, we've got the Wyoming flag. This shed is a 10 by 12. I built it on posts like you would build a deck, and I was not following any blueprints. I have built a shed in the past, and I bought that whole kit, which included the blueprints and all the way down to the roofing nails. And that was my first experience with the shed, and this was really my first time to just cut wild and do whatever I wanted. And every now and when I was building, like I put up the walls, and I was planning on 8-foot walls like a residential regular house wall would be. And I got 2 of those up, and I looked at it and thought, oh good Lord, that's too tall. So I brought those walls back down, cut them down a little bit and put it all back up. But every now and then I'll be building something and just go and grab the wife and say, hey, where do you want a window at? Or where would you like the door? And we go talk about it, and we'll show you a little bit more of that as we go around to the other sides. We are on the north facing side of the shed here. Up above we have a bead board, which surprises most people to see a pretty bead board on the exterior of the shed. The window here is a 3-foot window. It was originally supposed to be double doors so that we could get lawnmowers in and out. We built the decorative shutters. Underneath, this lattice work is hiding all the pea gravel, weed barrier, and posts that hold up the shed. And when I ran the sprinkler system, I also ran a line over here to where this 4x4 post is with the water hose on it. And I hollowed out part of that post and ran the hose, the water line, up to a spigot out the side, which I thought was pretty cool, but it turned out really well. So on the east side of the shed, we decided to build this deck, and we had to build a deck because of the formation of the ground here. It just slopes off towards the garden, but we wanted to make it a large enough area that we could get things in and out of the shed easily, and we also have room for a rocking chair. On the side of the deck, I used the retaining block that we use in most of the yard to make a little flower bed down here. Up on the deck, we've got these flower pots with all these flowers in them that is all fed off the same drip irrigation. And then on the shed, we've got the door, which is an actual residential door. And then my wife painted it a nice pretty color to make it look more cottagey. We've got these 2 lanterns that we love, and they're solar powered, and they come on at dusk, and they just have a really nice light to them. And above that we've got this overhang, which we kind of put in as an afterthought, but it serves a couple of good purposes. It keeps snow and rain out, and it just gives it a housey feel overall. And on top of the shed, we put a regular asphalt shingle roof, and that's probably the only real construction experience I had before building this shed. I was a roofer for a while. But that's it for the east side. So here we are on the south side of the shed, and as you can see, it's only about a 3-foot wide walking space between the fence and the shed. And the only other thing is there's a 5-foot window on the back of the shed here, and that's primarily for light in the shed. And we also use this area back here for storing some whatnots and odds and ends for the garden. And the pea gravel that's here, we might eventually switch over to concrete, and you'll see this concrete right here and the flat pad down below and in front were my first trial runs at doing concrete myself. And once I got comfortable with it, I think I can do a better job and do more up here and maybe on the west side of the shed. But that is the south side in a nutshell.
So now it is my turn, since you've seen the outside of the shed, to show you what the interior looks like. And I did want to mention these lights right here that my husband was talking about have the most magical firefly look to them when they are lit at night. And I enjoy that kind of fairy-esque amount to it. But yeah, I really did want this to be a little cottage. So let's go on in. As you walk in, we are going to go straight to the right where we've got all of our cabinetry. And you'll see it is getting a little bit dark in here because it's getting late in the afternoon and closer to evening hours. But this is a wonderful place to work. I don't plan on doing a ton of potting and seed starting in this shed because I don't have heat, I don't have electricity out here. And if you are from Wyoming, you'll understand completely. But even though this is a insulated shed, it does not stay warm enough for me to do seed starting out here. So all my seed starting will stay in the house. But right here, as you walk in, we did have plans for this to have a big hutch right here, and I will show those plans. But this was nixed at the very last minute. We decided it was a little bit too heavy coming into the room, into the shed for the space, and it kind of just would make it feel a little more closed off. So we opted for some open shelving. I have all of my garden gloves in this basket, and then my lotions, potions, garden tags, all of that up there, and my indoor-outdoor thermometer. That is very important because our weather is not very accurate here. And I did stain these shelves the same color as the countertops. My husband made the wood for them, and we found these brackets just at a Hobby Lobby. In this first cabinet right here, we have got a full close, full open drawer. It's a soft close. And I've got some of the little essentials that I need when I'm out in the garden, like scissors, pruners. Sometimes I need a tape measure, my Felco side cuts, or my pruners, and a thermometer. Just kind of the bare essentials that I need when I'm out here in the garden. And like I said, full close. And if you've watched the video on our cabinet making, you know that these panels right here were from a previous vanity in our bathroom, and they were a misorder, so we kept the panels. This right here is storage for chemicals, mostly dry fertilizers. I do have a couple of liquids in here, and I do have a metal tray down here just in case anything should spill. but we've had no problems. And this, of course, is isopropyl alcohol. It won't ever freeze. I don't worry about that one. This is really the only thing I probably need to take in for the winter. But a lot of our dry fertilizers and trash can liners, stuff like that is down here. Now, I do have a little short video on what we have in this space right here. And basically, this is all hidden storage underneath here. This can pull out, and I will show that video here. Now, when I was designing the cabinetry for this shed, I realized I was going to have a blind corner no matter what I did. So I wanted to utilize that space without making it a difficult task. So we opted to do this little bookcase right here that is free floating. It actually sits on some felt pads and it just slides in and out. It's just slightly shorter than the other cabinetry and it has worked perfectly. I do have a light back here so that I can see back into this little dark corner, but this is a great spot to put like those big planter pots that you're not using at the moment, but you will eventually want. I also have a bunch of pots for both houseplants and garden plants and some more or less non-essentials, things that I use every once in a while out in the garden. And the two brown bins actually contain soil. And over on the wall, I've got a folding step stool because I am short and some of the shelving is tall in here. And of course, my kneeling pads. Now on the opposite side, this bookcase is an identical size, just a little bit taller than the one I pulled out. And this one contains all of my seed starting pots and all of my 4-inch pots. And to put this away, it's pretty simple. I just got to remember to turn off the light because sometimes I don't. That is a battery powered light and it doesn't take it long to kill the battery. But I will close this up by pushing it back in, straightening it out, making sure everything is nice and neat and level. And then I just reattach the curtain with its tension rod. And that is pretty much it for how I access this hidden storage area. So hopefully that video shows you a little better how we access and get at some of the things that are in this hidden storage section. I have set this up in such a way so that the items I need most often are closer at hand than, say, something I use maybe once a year. And that is further in the back and maybe a little more hidden, a little less easy to get at. But I'm going to switch spots with my husband here for a second so that he can actually get in here and show the hutch area. This was something that was always in the plans. I always wanted this vertical structure, almost like a bookcase, to hold some of the pretty things that I have been collecting for years and to actually act utilitarian for some of the things we needed to store. So on the very, very top shelf, you'll see we've got some cages for protecting plants from bugs, and I probably should have used those this year. I had cabbage that got eaten alive. And if I had had those on, the cabbage butterflies couldn't have gotten to them. I also have a harvesting basket up there that's a little less frequently used. And as we go lower, you're going to see that we have 3 bins, and I do eventually think I want to label those. One of them has a watering paraphernalia, so it would be things like garden hose connections. Then I've got linens and outdoor lighting replacements in the 3rd bin. As you move down, this is my pretty shelf, and I do have some books on this shelf that I like to reference when I am planning my gardens. I also like to read them every once in a while and kind of update myself on some of the things that I'm fairly new to gardening, so update myself on some of the things that I need to learn. And also got a couple watering cans there. But as you move down, you're going to see I've got a little pink storage unit here. This is where I keep all of my seeds. And I do keep them kind of like a library in a catalog of, alphabetical order. And if my husband can pan in here, You can see the pea seeds that I sat in this little tray the other day and did the short on. They are already drying out fabulously, and I will be able to put those away into my seed collection here pretty soon. Now on the wall to the very right of that, I've got a couple of older frames that I really wanted to find some vintage frames, but I was having trouble doing so, so I just found these. And I have plans to put a garden saying in the top one, but I did not get a lot of feedback on the post I put on the channel. So don't forget to check the community tab. I sometimes put surveys and questions there, and sometimes updates. So check that community tab, see if I've put anything there, and please answer the survey on which saying you'd like to see in that little frame. Down below, I've got a little magnet board that my husband helped me put together. He cut the tin for it, and it is magnetic. We did remove the glass, and that will be helpful when I need to put little notes or anything up on there. And, you know, we'll just pan back a little, look at this whole counter section, and then I think I want to show you how we utilize the bed section here. Right here we have got our day bed, and this has been a fun feature in the shed. Our granddaughter loves to come jump on it and read books, but this was the first thing my husband built. He built the box for this, and this was actually first planned to be on this wall, and we were going to put our countertop area against the larger window with the 5-foot light coming in. But as we progressed with this shed build, we decided that was not a good fit, and we liked the way this looked better to walk in and basically see the bed first. So I have a couple of videos here on how we use the storage that's in this bed. We have a section at the back that's very hidden, and we have a section in the front that's more accessible. So I'll show those videos here, and then we'll come back to finish up this tour. The storage on the front here is actually just open, and to hide all of that, I did make some curtains out of the flat sheet for this bedding set. And I just have those on some tension rods, and we have 4 of these milk crate style storage bins under here with just a couple of things in them. We've got some blankets for our fire pit, blankets for this bed if somebody should sleep on it, and a couple of planter trays. And that's pretty much all that's under this little bed. When I am storing things, I like to have flexibility, so I do keep empty containers for that purpose. Now, to access the storage that is behind this bed, I do need to remove, well, I don't actually have to remove this whole mattress, but I do need to slide it forward a little. I am choosing to remove the entire mattress today so that you guys can see a little more clearly what is going on back behind here. And because we have such a nice open floor space and that mattress is just a twin, it's very lightweight and I can get it off the bed easily. You'll see that this has a big piano hinge, and I just opened that, and my husband and I both think that the hinge is on the wrong side. We may eventually change that and put it on the wall side so that it opens the other direction. But this is a great storage place for things that we just don't need very often. Most of what we keep back here is, like you saw, tubing for our sprinkler system, for our drip irrigation. We also have some plant supports that I don't use super often, but I also have an additional garden hose back there, and we have talked about putting things like our shovel and maybe even our fork back here for digging. They're just not used often enough for us to need them on a regular basis. So I just closed that up. I'm going to put the mattress back on the bed. It is a little tougher, especially when I'm on camera doing this stuff, but this is super easy to put back together, and it's a great day bed. Very soft and cozy, and we have a ton of pillows on it. If you ask my husband, he would tell you it has too many pillows, but I wanted this to feel more like a couch than a bed. So I do have 2 regular size standard pillows here and then a bunch of toss pillows. And it's just a cozy place to sit down. It's a cozy place to read, to have just a little quiet afternoon nap if you need it. And I love this little bed. Now that you've seen how the bed actually works and how we have used it for hidden storage and more accessible storage on the front, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the key features architecturally in this building. And on the back wall right here, we opted not to do drywall. We did drywall on the other 3 walls and put cedar fence pickets on this one. We laid them horizontally, almost like shiplap, and because that was a popular thing in 2018, 2019, this got painted. Now, if you ask my husband, he would tell you he didn't like me painting them, but I enjoy the openness and the airiness that it comes with. And I feel like if I had left it the raw wood color, this would have felt more cabin-like, and I wanted it to feel more cottage-like. Then we also paid special attention to our ceiling in here. And this ceiling is not a triangular arc. It has 2 angles on the side and then flattens out in the center. And we decided the best way to do this and to make it look the nicest was to use a beadboard. And this is actual beadboard, tongue and groove. And my husband hung this and then I painted it. And we decided on this paint color because it looks like the front porch on an old home. And I love the ceiling, I love this back wall, and I feel like some of that architecture in the building makes it feel more like a cottage. I also decided on the window frames to paint them the same color as the walls. Again, my husband wasn't sure he liked that. He wanted me to kind of contrast them a little more, but I do like that they're the same color. And you can still see the definition and the woodwork here, and he did an awesome job with the woodwork. And I did opt for some lacy kind of crocheted type curtains. I love those. And of course, you know, we just have a little table here. We may eventually build another bookcase right here to house some other items. I'm going to walk around in the corner here and then we are going to finish this off. Behind the shed door right here, we've got a little pegboard with a couple of items that we need on a very regular basis in the garden. You've seen me use my planting square quite a lot. All of my garden hand tools, and then a couple of other miscellaneous things. These 2 buckets right here I use for harvesting, sometimes when I'm picking flowers and for carrying around things. And then they double as a laundry bin when I've got dirty washcloths and linens out here. I also have 2 watering cans down here, and that is something we have talked about putting into a bookcase and maybe eliminating this little table. This is one of my curtains that I also sewed. And this was not in my video from when I sewed the linens for this shed. And this curtain and the panels that go underneath for the hidden storage were sewn after I got that finished. And that is pretty much the shed tour. This has been a fun garden tour for us. Well, shed tour. I'm not sure where to put this on the channel, whether it needs to be in the garden section of the channel or if it needs to be on our home tour. So we may put it in both.
Or even crafting projects.
Yeah, that's true too. Or DIY, because this entire shed we did ourselves. We hired no one out for anything. He did all the roofing, put all the windows in, the doors in. We did the tiling ourselves. We didn't even mention that this has a porcelain tile floor, but everything in this shed we did ourselves. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty proud of what we've accomplished here. This is a wonderfully comfortable space. When we've got candlelight going at night, it's kind of romantic out here. It feels like a tiny little house. And I don't know, there's some little personal touches here and there. Like we've got an old rake that we've had for years that the handle broke off, and we decided rather than throw the rake part away, we would use it for a hook. We found some trays at a rummage sale, and I refinished those, and now that is where I store all my seed catalogs, all my calendars, and my garden planning books. There's just a few little touches here and there that make this space feel not only beautiful, but it's also functional. And I think that was our whole entire goal with this shed. We had decided early on that we didn't want to put any kind of mowers, gas-powered items out here.
Yeah, it changed from the original plan quite a bit.
When we first had decided to do this shed, we wanted it to just be utilitarian. And the more and more we thought about it, that changed.
We needed extra space.
Yeah, we needed extra storage, and we needed space for when company comes, and we needed kind of a little play area, a book reading area. I like to come out here and just personally read books. It's a wonderful place to have a cup of coffee or have a rest on the deck. It is a time.
Nap.
Yeah, I have taken naps out here. I don't know if you have, but I have.
I haven't yet.
But it is a comfortable bed, and you know, honestly, I think people think we're a little bit crazy having a shed that looks like this, but we enjoy it, and we've enjoyed every part of building this ourselves, and I'm very happy with how this turned out.
I am too.
So we hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, give it a, you got it, thumbs up. And if you have any questions or comments for either of us, leave them down below. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. And we hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.